This is Shawn Irwin, your youth director with Darts Ontario, and welcome to episode 21 of Darts Ontario Let's Talk Darts. I wanted to talk to our youth players from past and present to see how they got into darts and their story to help inspire the youth of today. Thank you to our sponsor, SSS Canada, for all their support in the Darts Ontario organization. Go to their Facebook page to see the high quality custom shirts, which you can order for your team or individually. I'm with Tom Smith, formerly of the Kingston Youth Dart League and three-time Team Ontario member as an adult dart player. Thank you, Tom, for taking the time to answer some questions so the dart community can know more about Tom Smith. So how are you doing tonight?
Really good, really good.
Great. I really appreciate you doing this to help inspire the youth of today, and gonna talk about your history of darts and as an adult, youth, and currently. So tell me, how did you get started playing darts, and how old were you when you started?
Well, I actually became part of the Kingston Youth Dart League as of the age of 6. And it was mainly influenced by Mom. She was, taking us to tournaments with her and everything else. And then when I got to the age of 6 is when I started throwing in the youth league and played ever since.
Well, I take it your mother, which most of us know as Marjorie Alderdice Smith back then, but she ran the league. I guess she inspired you to play competitively.
She did.
Yeah. Now, how often do you practice even today and as a youth during the season and the off season?
Mostly during the season. I was always part of multiple leagues. So during the season, it was mostly just playing the leagues. Not too much at home. I had the ability when I was younger, when my brother was still living at home. Him and I used to practice quite a bit, but after that, it's been mostly leagues. The odd time I would practice for about, I would say probably about a half an hour to an hour a day. And then now that my daughter's playing, it gets to back to practicing a little bit more.
That's good. Now, as a youth player, it's hard to stay focused, especially during practicing. But how would you make practicing fun?
Most of the time was getting involved in some of the different games. The 170, 121 was always my favorite for personal goals, to try to constantly keep beating it and getting better and better at it. Other than that, it was just playing games against myself. The odd time when I started getting into my teens, when I was practicing a little bit more, and darts was a little more readily available online or on TV, then I would actually play games against the pros.
Well, it's a good way to focus and get better in the game for sure. Speaking of focus, how do you prepare yourself before a big match, getting yourself focused?
Well, mostly I'm a competitive person. So a lot of my focus actually doesn't really start until the tournament begins. I go in pretty calm, and then once I get into the game, it really starts bringing it out in me. Right up until even a little bit less focused, I should say, in the round robins. Once knockout and stuff becomes part of the game, that's when I really start to focus and get in. Other than that, it's just just pretty natural. I just go in there. I'm heavy into ball as well, so when it comes to just getting in there and playing, it's pretty natural.
Well, darts is a very emotional game, as we all know who play darts. But how do you control your emotions during those games?
Anything possible to keep myself out of my own head. That's got to be the biggest thing. Once you get a couple good tournaments and stuff and a couple good wins down your on your resume, then it becomes a little bit easier, because then you start thinking about that and going into the game, knowing that you're going to win the game, and whether you do or not, at least if you go into it thinking you're going to win, it's a lot more positive and never feeling down about your darts.
Sometimes we see youth players complain who they're playing because they're playing one of the best players. And I always say, go play them, play your game. Don't worry about them.
100%. 100%. We used to get that a lot in the leagues. The leagues, it would always be, you'd go up against an opponent, and the first thing they would say, "Well, I got to play that guy." And that's one thing where I really changed my way of playing was in the leagues. We have an array of players from 16 to we got one right now that I think's 86.
Wow.
That's in the league playing. And my thing is I don't go into any game and shooting towards my opponent. It is playing my own game, and whether it's a 16-year-old or a 86-year-old, I'm playing the exact same game. Doesn't matter on the quality of the game, doesn't matter on the caliber of the player, absolutely nothing. It's you just play your game every time the same way.
And that's why you've done so well, and we'll talk about that shortly. So what's the best part of competing for you, and what's the most important thing of darts for you?
A lot of it is, just getting out there with the people. Darts has such an array of people from all walks of life. I love the interaction with everybody. The traveling's always nice. But a lot of it, the people that you meet.
Now, after a good performance and the match is over, what's the one thing you like to do?
I like to just go and sit down and take a little bit of a rest.
Just chill a little bit.
Chill
Right?
out a little bit. Yeah, most of the time it's because you are worked up so much from the game. It's a go and chill, talk to somebody, kind of get your mind off the game for a couple minutes before you have to go into your next one.
So let's talk about your Darts Ontario history as a youth. What years did you play youth darts at zones and provincials? And tell us about some of your youth results and highlights, because the website doesn't go back that far for actual zones and provincials. So tell us your story.
So the youth was a little different for me. Like I said, I was 6 when I started. As far as the zones and everything coming up, I was fortunate enough. My brother and I were a year apart, so we played almost every single year together coming up as youth. It was just in that one odd spot where I had to move up and he didn't. Normally, we pretty much as far as zones and stuff, we were always on the top. When it came to the provincials and everything else, see, we were in the time, I was in the time of the Justin Hanna, Mike Sietsma, and Jason Henniger time, where they were just smashing everything. They were taking every title. They were doing it all. And in the youth, one of my biggest regrets is as a youth, I didn't quite take it as serious as I should have. We didn't have the opportunities that they have today. All the opportunities that the kids have with all the bursary shoots and the chances of going on, the chances of getting a sponsorship, all that stuff. We never had that. So there wasn't as much to thrive for when it came to that back when I was a youth. And weirdly enough, in the youth, I actually kind of was in the shadows of my brother.
No, he made nationals, didn't he?
He won the nationals the one year, and then the second year he made it to the stage again. He had a little bit of an arm injury and ended up coming in second on stage. But he was the shot of the family in that time.
So tell us about the transition of playing youth darts and then moving into the adult program.
So that's where all the big changes happened. When it came to adults, that's when the maturity level was a little bit better and able to focus a lot more on my game and life. And that's where I started shining a lot more. I was a lot more mature at that age, and I started taking it seriously and really figuring out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and got into the practicing more. And when it came to playing the adults, it was a totally different breed. It wasn't anything like youth. And it's funny because I was lucky enough that I started playing all the leagues with the adults when I was 15. So I already had the experience playing a lot of the adults, and this area had a lot of good adult shots. So the transition wasn't as hard for me, but I have seen a lot of people, a lot of youth that struggled with it. And actually my brother was one of them.
It's a big transition for many, and some just aren't able to do it. Some thrive on it. So let's talk about some of your adult experience in Darts Ontario. At provincials in 2014, you finished top 8 in Ontario to make Team Ontario for the first time. How was that experience knowing you made the team?
Unbelievable. So 2014, yes, that was the first time, but what made it even crazier was not only the way that I made the team, playing actually David Richardson in the spot to get it. And in order for me to win, I had 200 plus finishes, one being a 151 and a 161. So in order to do it, him and I, we pretty much almost had 100 to, well, anywhere between 98 to 100 scoring average. And then the huge takeouts. And it was one of those things that if I didn't take it out, he was up next, he was gonna. So the whole game, it was nonstop pressure game. And the lead up to the year of 2014 was a big thing, because I had 11 top 16 finishes, and just couldn't get past that top 16. So that year that I took those big finishes out and was able to get my spot on Team Ontario was unbelievable. I broke right down. I was done. It was my next match. The reason I got top 18 wasn't even, it didn't matter who I was playing. I was drained. There was no matches after that mattered really.
That was the goal. And there's so many youth and adults, and being part of the youth program, I see that their goal is to just make that. But in the youth, you have to finish first or second to make nationals.
Yes.
So yeah. In 2016, you made it back to Team Ontario with finishing top 8. And in 2017, a top 8 finish again. Take us back to those provincials, as both times you were defeated by Jim Long in the quarterfinals. And tell us about the drive you had to make the team, especially in 2017.
It was it was one of those things that after I made the team, the big drive after that was it was a motivation that I didn't want it to be just once. I wanted to prove that it wasn't just like a lucky win, or it wasn't you got good draws going through. There was nothing. To solidify making it twice in my personal goals was making it the second time, was solidifying that no, I really deserve to be there. It was my darts are at that level. So the huge drive for the second time. And then there was little personal stuff about, the area and stuff and the zones and stuff that I'm in. Not too many people have done it twice, let alone 3 times for the third one. So it was little personal motivations that drove me to doing as well as what I did. But those were personal goals that pushed me.
Well, for sure. In 2017, definitely a drive to make that team, because that was a special year and a very sad time as well.
It was.
So let's talk about nationals. 2014, you finished second in Ontario with your partner, Kim Smith, and top 16 in male doubles and singles. Take us back to your first nationals.
Oh, the first nationals is great. I was hungry. I was hungry, and it was quite an experience. I mean, it was also the first time I'd ever flown anywhere. First time being out of the province other than Quebec, and jumping down to Watertown and stuff like close to me. But actually traveling like that for darts, it was totally different. It was an exciting time. I mean, the nationals is a completely different thing. All the dart players there, everybody is on a high level of playing. So the whole mindset and everything is different. You know, Going and traveling to tournaments around your own province is one thing, but then meeting, the top players from every province all in one spot was completely different. It was way different than anything I had ever experienced.
Yeah, for sure. So in 2016, you were back to nationals, and in mixed doubles and male doubles, you finished top 16. A year later, in 2017, you were back to nationals, which was a very tough event as we lost your mom that year. And she's been going to nationals, I think, for many years as adults and youth. I know everyone was there to play and win, but how was the atmosphere knowing about losing your mother? Because she was loved by people from all over Ontario, but all over Canada as well.
So that year, it was definitely tough. Definitely tough. Mom actually passed away 4 days before the provincials. It took me until 2 days before the provincials to decide that I was going to play. Not only was I going to play, I was actually supposed to be playing mixed doubles with her that weekend as well. So I knew she would have wanted me to play, and I knew it would be a good distraction because of, being around the dart community would be something that would be good for me. As bad as it was, even walking into the dart room without her and going to play the events, I knew that a lot of comfort would come from seeing all of our friends, seeing everybody there. So I went into that event not expecting to do much at all. I expected to go into the provincials and just try my hardest, but wasn't quite in the right frame of mind. I actually, the day that I had to go there and play my singles, the mixed doubles was still being played. I walked into the room and then I had to walk in and go take a break. I couldn't even walk into the room. The Saturday I didn't have the greatest of play, but enough to make it through, and to the Sunday. And then when the Sunday came around, it was like, okay, you know what, we're close here. And all of a sudden it was like just something triggered in my head. It was, you know what, I got to make it this year. I got to do it for it. So I ended up doing it. I ended up making the team, and the as far as the nationals, it was already by the time we got everything sorted out with what had happened and the time in between, I was 100% not prepared for the nationals that year. And it was even just my first two nationals, I did have her with me. She was coaching the team as well. And it was just totally different for me. It was really nice. I had some of the teammates and stuff who stepped up and was there for me the whole time. And it was great as far as that, but definitely wasn't as prepared in 17.
Well, talk to us about your mom. She was the youth director for Darts Ontario for many years, and her dedication to darts, especially in the youth program. Also, can you think of what some of her highlights would have been in the youth program?
Well, pretty much almost anything in the youth program was a highlight to her. I spent growing up with her where she had paperwork strewed along her whole house. It was on every surface possible that had to do with the youth. And that's all we really knew all year round was nothing but darts with her. It was, 24/7, every single day. It was darts, darts, darts. She ran the youth league. She also ran one of the leagues in Kingston, which is that Thursday night league that I now run. She was involved with doing the youth league in Kingston itself. So it was nonstop all growing up. It didn't matter what time of year it was always involved with darts. And then when she wasn't doing that, she was out traveling tournaments playing with us. Like her and I were playing tournaments out of town. It was nonstop growing up with that. I can't really say all that other than a couple things that stand out. When my sister's award became the Sportsmanship Award, that I was told later on afterwards that I was nominated by multiple people to get that award, but she wouldn't give it to me. She thought that it wasn't it that it was just because it was my sister, her daughter, that she wouldn't give it to me the one year. So the next year the stuff came in, and they finally looked at her and said, Tom's got an overwhelming amount of votes for this award, and you already took it away from him last year. He deserves it. You got to give it to him. And so she wouldn't present it. She that year she wouldn't present it. They ended up calling me up, and of course she was there to shake my hand, take the picture. But it was a big emotional one. That one was a huge emotional one. Other than the nationals and stuff, I mean, that's the biggest award that I had won for sure. Was the Sportsmanship Award there.
The youth, we always teach them about sportsmanship, and she was all about that. The youth really loved your mom. We all know that, and of course your stepdad Paul. They were an amazing team together, and thankfully Paul stepped up to help me after your mom passed away to run the youth program. So I learned a lot from both of them, and being at nationals the last 2 years with Paul, he was just amazing with the kids. So it's great to see. Now, tell us about some of your greatest success and memories in darts that we haven't touched on.
Most of the stuff we have. Other than that, the big thing is the around here is the affiliate program. The affiliate program, I've been lucky enough to win that 7 times. So for all of the Eastern Ontario. So that with the point system, ranking second in Ontario for a while, and then holding fourth for quite a while. Those are really big. Due to the fact of not traveling and stuff, though, couldn't keep the point systems going all that well, but it was just too much travel. But the Eastern Ontario stuff, and then there was multiple really big wins with Mom and I. We went down to Quebec for a couple of the tournaments there, and her and I had won the doubles. It's a lot of those victories were the big ones, but nationals, definitely the nationals were a big thing. And then other than that, landing some sponsorships. The sponsorships were great. I got to actually design my own set of darts, and they were being sold by Vokes. Those were probably the highlights when I got to do that, and then playing a lot of soft tip darts. I went and played a lot of soft tip darts with iDarts Toronto, and it was a big thing. It was a big thing making that switch over and getting into that world of darts and have the sponsorship in the back through them. So that's pretty much the gist of it, though.
Well, it's great to be noticed and being sponsored because there's so many dart players, and then they pick you. That's always exciting for everybody.
It is, for sure.
So you have two young ladies at home that play darts,
I
and
do.
tell us about how you inspire the girls to play and how they enjoy the program.
Well, once again, the lucky thing is, you know, I've had the ability to have them traveling with me to some of the tournaments. Um, when my oldest daughter, she decided to start throwing darts, it was a pretty big thing. Um, Also, there was a pretty good hand and coach in there with mom, who really inspired them to play. And they they both, my youngest daughter, she's playing, but she's kind of almost like what I was in the youth, where it was not quite as serious, whereas Kayla is really serious about it. She's she got on to just the natural throw right at the beginning. Um, Started shooting well and had a really good drive to wanting to play more. And then once again, lucky enough to play the adult leagues. She's now been playing in the adult league. This is her third year. So she's been playing in the adult league since she was, I think she was 13 when she started.
Well, she's come a long way, and this year she is the doubles Ontario champion as well.
She definitely was.
Yes.
Yeah. Not to mention beat her sister in at the semis or
quarterfinals. Yes.
Quarters. Yeah.
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 So, and they beat the defending champions in the finals from Oshawa.
They did. They did. Yeah.
So in the game of darts, it's all calculation, and you have to think so fast when you're on that line. How have you become so well at knowing your outs and knowing what to hit and teaching your kids that as well?
So I actually, with the kids, I started teaching them the way my mother did. Um, the way that I calculate and everything for darts now, it's funny because I was so bad at math as a kid. When I first started, I was behind in math, and then my mother taught me how to use the dartboard when it came to solving the math questions, like your times tables and everything else. Like I knew that 5 times 18 was 90, because I knew it was triple 19 or triple 18, double 18. And I could put together the triples and stuff. So I was so far ahead of everybody when I was younger, when it came to times tables and anything up to 20 and multiples of it up to 9. So I got the girls going on that as well. And because it was one thing that was a huge jump for me with the calculating. And then just the amount of time and effort you put towards it. I mean, once you start getting out of the just playing leagues and having fun with it and get into competition, then you got to start thinking about all the percentage shots. You got to start thinking about, why you're finishing things the way you're finishing it. And, we all know there's multiple ways to do different finishes. And, there is a right and wrong, but there's also a lot of gray areas. So when you watch other people and you see different things going on, and you figure out why they're doing it, and then you figure out why you should or shouldn't do it yourself, really makes your game rise. You really got to get involved in that kind of stuff.
Some great advice for the youth, for sure. And who are some of your biggest supporters as you compete today?
Well, right now it's my fiance, and she's 100% behind me in everything I do darts. Doesn't matter where I want to go, how much I want to play, any of it, she's 100% there. It's a big thing having backing, for sure. Paul's another one, and my daughters. Yeah. They really big in support.
Besides darts, do you have any other hobbies?
Ball was my other one. And then other than that, now I'm just so busy. I got so busy with work, and you know what it's like in the automotive industry. Yeah. Was taking up most of my time. But other than that, it was mostly my daughter's baseball now, my youngest daughter. she made the rep teams, and almost every single weekend throughout the whole summer was concentrating on her ball.
Oh, good for her.
So that's
And,
the big hobbies now.
Now, are you or the girls playing any online darts?
I've here and there we've been doing some of the online darts. Once again, especially with the stuff going on and how much stuff we have to get done here, it's something that's lacking. But we have done some, and definitely are going to do more for sure.
Now, this is a tough question for many players because we just love to play sometimes, but do you have a favorite opponent you love to play against? And if there's one person in the world you'd love to play, who and why?
Well, I would definitely 100% just about anybody on the stage, in the big stage, would love to play. I was lucky enough that I have got to face Phil Taylor twice. So actually, if you want to say about a feat, that was one. He did beat me 6-1, but I've got to play actually quite a few of the pros, and it's going back. I probably right now would be Gary Anderson. I'm actually using Gary Anderson's darts right now. He's definitely one that I've always looked up to.
Well, maybe he's listening to this and he'll want to play you.
Definitely, I would any day.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate this. And as we wrap this up, one more question. We've given a lot of advice to the youth. Any other advice you can give to the youth to help follow your footsteps?
Just a lot of practice. Get into it mentally. Stay away from all the adults' bad habits that you pick up as you're coming up. When you're making that switch from the youth to the adults, there's a lot of distractions and a lot of things that can get in your way to cloud your game. It's the hardest thing in darts is making that transition, because we all know that as a youth you're taught proper attitude and etiquette, and it's lacking in the adult side most of the time. So that's the big thing. That's a big thing. Keep going and plugging the same way you do as a youth, and keep practicing.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, for taking the time to talk to us, and good luck reaching your goals. And hopefully we see you at some tournaments and of course provincials next year.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you. Have a great
Thanks
night.
a lot. You too.
That was great talking to Tom Smith. Lots of great memories in his dart career. Make sure you go to our website at www.dartsontario.ca to find out all the information about our organization, and like the Darts Ontario Facebook page so you get all the updates. Are you a current or former youth player in the Darts Ontario program? Would you like to be on one of our episodes? Please email me at youth@dartsontario.com. This is Shawn Irwin, your Darts Ontario Youth Director, and make sure you check out our next episode, episode 22 of Darts Ontario Let's Talk Darts. Right now, I do not know who that's going to be, as we have a long list of players that want to talk to me. Great to see, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.